In a realm beyond time and space, where reality bends to the will of extraordinary beings, a clash of titans was destined to unfold.
From the fiery heart of the Fire Nation, empowered by the celestial fury of Sozin's Comet, emerged Ozai, the Phoenix King. His eyes burned with an inferno that could scorch the very heavens. His opponent, a creature of perfect design and terrifying power, was Cell, in his ultimate perfect form, a bio-android whose very presence promised annihilation. The arena was a desolate, craggy wasteland, scarred by ancient battles, a fitting stage for the destruction to come. The air crackled with anticipation, a silent hum preceding the storm. Cell, with his emerald green skin and formidable frame, regarded his opponent with an amused smirk, confident in his genetic superiority. "So, you are the one they call the Phoenix King." Cell's voice resonated, a chilling blend of arrogance and power.
"Your comet may grant you temporary strength, but it is nothing compared to true perfection."
Ozai merely scoffed, a plume of smoke escaping his lips. "Perfection is an illusion, android."
"Power is absolute, and I am its master," with a roar that shook the very ground. Ozai made the first move. A torrent of crimson and gold fire erupted from his hands, a colossal wave of pure energy aimed directly at Cell.
The flames, superheated by the comet, were hotter than anything Cell had ever encountered. But Cell was not one to be easily overwhelmed. He met the inferno with a casual flick of his wrist, generating a powerful energy barrier
that absorbed the brunt of the attack, dissipating the remaining heat with a dismissive wave. "Impressive for a mortal," Cell taunted,
his smirk widening.
"but a mere parlor trick against a true warrior." Ozai's eyes narrowed. He wasn't just a firebender.
He was a master strategist. He knew direct confrontation might not be enough. He began to move, a blur of motion, weaving intricate patterns in the air with his fire.
He launched a series of smaller, faster fire blasts, each one precise and deadly,
forcing Cell to move, to react. Cell, however, was faster.
He dodged with effortless grace, his movements almost too quick for the eye to follow,
appearing and disappearing as if teleporting.
Suddenly, Cell vanished, only to reappear directly behind Ozai. Before the Fire Lord could react, Cell delivered a devastating kick to Ozai's back, sending him hurtling through several rock formations.
Ozai crashed, coughing, but quickly recovered, his body enveloped in a protective aura of fire. The comet's power was immense, granting him incredible durability.
"A cheap shot," Ozai roared, his voice laced with fury.
He unleashed a continuous stream of fire,
a fiery whip that lashed out at Cell, trying to ensnare him.
Cell laughed, a deep, guttural sound. He allowed the flames to wrap around him for a moment, testing their heat, before exploding outwards with a burst of ki, shattering the fiery bonds.
"Your fire is hot, I'll grant you that," Cell mused, "but it lacks the raw destructive force I'm accustomed to." He then charged, a green aura flaring around him. His punches were blindingly fast, each one carrying the force of a meteor.
Ozai, relying on his enhanced reflexes and firebending, parried and dodged, using jets of fire from his hands and feet to propel himself, creating a fiery dance of evasion.
One punch grazed Ozai's cheek, leaving a searing burn. Another connected with his arm,
causing him to grunt in pain. The sheer physical power of Cell was overwhelming. Ozai realized he couldn't just rely on fire. He needed to use his environment, his cunning.
He slammed his foot down, sending a wave of fire through the ground, causing fissures to open up beneath Cell. Cell merely floated above them, unfazed.
"Foolish," Cell sneered.
"You cannot trap me with such primitive tactics." He then extended his hand, and a small, glowing orb of energy began to form. "Allow me to show you true power."
"This is a Kamahama, a technique I've mastered from the Saiyans." The orb grew, pulsating with immense energy, the air around it distorting. Ozai's eyes widened.
He recognized the destructive potential of such an attack.
He couldn't dodge it. He had to meet it head-on. Gathering every ounce of firebending power the comet granted him, Ozai channeled it into a single, massive blast.
A concentrated beam of pure, white-hot fire, brighter than the sun.
The two beams collided in the center of the arena,
creating a blinding explosion of light and sound.
The ground beneath them cracked and buckled. The sky above them turned a tumultuous orange and green. The sheer force of the impact created a shockwave that flattened everything for miles around.
Ozai pushed with all his might, his face contorted in a mask of strain, sweat pouring down his brow.
Cell, however, seemed almost bored, his expression unchanging.
As he effortlessly poured more power into his attack, Slowly, inexorably, Cell's Konohama began to push back Ozai's fire.
The Phoenix King's beam wavered, flickering under the immense pressure.
Ozai roared in defiance, refusing to yield.
But the power difference was becoming undeniable.
With a final, triumphant surge, Cell's Konohama overwhelmed Ozai's fire, engulfing him in a devastating explosion.
When the dust settled, a massive crater marked the spot where Ozai had stood.
Cell floated calmly above it, his form pristine, not a single scratch on him.
He looked down at the smoldering remains,
A faint smile playing on his lips. A valiant effort, Fire Lord.
but perfection always prevails.
However, a faint flicker of fire caught his eye.
From the depths of the crater, Ozai slowly rose, battered and bruised, his armor scorched, but his eyes still burning with an unyielding flame. The comet's power was truly extraordinary, granting him a resilience that defied logic.
He was severely weakened, but not defeated.
You may be powerful, android, Ozai gasped, but you underestimate the will of a true Fire Lord.
He began to gather the last vestiges of his power, his body glowing with a desperate, fiery aura. He knew he couldn't win a direct power struggle.
He needed a different approach. Cell, surprised by Ozai's survival, narrowed his eyes.
Still alive,
How tenacious.
but this merely prolongs the inevitable. He prepared another energy blast, this one even more potent.
Ozai, with a final, desperate surge, unleashed a technique he had rarely used, one that required immense focus and control.
He launched a series of small, incredibly fast fire blasts, not to damage, but to create a blinding smokescreen, a swirling vortex of ash and superheated air.
That enveloped Cell.
Cell, momentarily disoriented by the sudden lack of visibility, scoffed.
A pathetic attempt to hide. He unleashed a wide area energy attack, attempting to clear the smoke.
But Ozai wasn't hiding.
He was moving, using the smoke as cover. Ozai propelled himself upwards, high above the battlefield, channeling all his remaining energy into a single, desperate attack.
He aimed not at Cell's body, but at the very ground beneath him. With a final, guttural scream, Ozai unleashed a concentrated beam of fire directly into the earth, causing a massive, localized earthquake.
The ground beneath Cell buckled and shattered, opening up a chasm of molten rock. Cell, caught off guard by the unexpected environmental attack, found himself falling into the fiery abyss.
He quickly recovered, flying out of the chasm.
But the distraction had bought Ozai precious seconds. As Cell emerged, Ozai was already descending, a fiery meteor. His body wreathed in a spiraling vortex of blue and orange flames. This was his ultimate attack, a desperate, all-or-nothing dive. Cell, now genuinely annoyed, prepared to meet him with a powerful counter-attack. You will not defeat me, Cell roared, charging a powerful ki blast in both hands. Ozai, however, had one more trick.
As he neared Cell, he suddenly dispersed his fiery form,
transforming into a multitude of smaller, intensely hot fireballs that surrounded Cell from all directions.
It wasn't a direct attack, but a tactical maneuver.
The fireballs, each one a miniature sun, bombarded Cell, not to inflict critical damage, but to overwhelm his senses.
To create openings.
Cell, forced to defend against the barrage, was momentarily distracted, and in that split second, Ozai reformed behind him, his body glowing with a final, desperate surge of comet-fueled power. With a primal scream, Ozai unleashed a point-blank, supercharged lightning bolt, not from his hands, but directly from his core. A pure ore surge of electrical energy that bypassed Cell's energy shields and struck him directly in the back. The lightning coursed through Cell's perfect body, causing him to convulse violently.
His systems overloaded, his perfect form flickering. It wasn't enough to destroy him, but it was enough to stun him, to momentarily disable his regenerative capabilities.
Ozai, utterly exhausted, fell to one knee, his comet power beginning to wane. He had given everything. Cell, however, was already recovering, his body regenerating from the lightning strike. A furious snarl on his face. You actually managed to hurt me, Cell growled, his voice filled with a terrifying rage. That was unexpected, but now you will pay for your insolence. He began to power up, his aura flaring, the ground trembling under his immense ki. Ozai looked up, his eyes still defiant, but his body screaming in protest. He knew he had pushed himself beyond his limits. He had landed a critical blow, but it wasn't enough.
Cell was simply too powerful, too resilient. As Cell prepared his final, devastating attack, a blinding flash of light erupted from his body, signaling the end.
The battle, a testament to raw power and desperate will, had reached its inevitable conclusion. Ozai, the Phoenix King, had fought with the fury of 1,000 suns, but against the perfect being. Still, even the comet's power had its limits. The wasteland fell silent once more, bearing witness to the triumph of ultimate perfection.